Welcome to Sykes, the Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast, your regular dose of pharmacy CPA advice to fuel your bottom line, featuring pharmacists, key vendors, and other innovators.
Your checks, yes, you can call me, because we the best, Sykes and Company. We the best, Sykes and Company. Your accounting is a mess, there's no need for you to stress. Go online and request from the best. We the best, Sykes and Company. We the best, Sykes and Company. Yes.
Y'all run a high-end podcast. It's just me and my guests. I don't have a production person in the back. I don't have all that fancy stuff. I'll get there one day, maybe. So
tell you what, man, this podcast gets a lot of views. We get a lot of good action, from this.
Scotty keeps promising me we're gonna have like this nice little setup, like studio. But
Yeah, we are working on a studio. That's right.
still haven't seen it yet.
that's good, man. That's right. I'll keep a speed to the fire. So
The thing is, I'm not a podcaster. I don't know what the heck we're doing on here. We don't have a
We're just
script.
talking. No.
We're just trying to get the information out to pharmacists. That's it.
we're all trying to stay in business. So you can find anybody that's even in business right now that has time to do a podcast. You
Right.
should listen to them because they're doing something right.
There you go. So that keys you up perfectly, Steve. Got you on the podcast, Steve Hoffart from Magnolia Pharmacy, and certainly appreciate you hopping on today. And well, Steve, let's talk about your pharmacy. What you got going on over there? What's new and exciting?
Thanks. That's a good question. There's a lot of new and exciting stuff because obviously we're trying to pay the bills and keep the doors open and most importantly, take care of our patients. That's what's exciting. But, that's what's been fun, I think, over the last couple of years. And I joke about that is that up to now, filling prescriptions has really been easy and nobody wants to look outside of doing anything different other than filling prescriptions because it was an easy way to pay the bills. But and I hate PBMs, don't get me wrong, but I always make a joke. PBMs have kind of been good because they're forcing pharmacies to do the things that we've been taught in school we should have been doing 20 years ago. It's forced us to do it because if you're not in business right now.
Wow.
And that's
That's
just
a
kind of
great
how
point.
I see it.
That is an awesome point.
Well,
It's
you can,
a silver lining for sure.
I am a glass half full guy. And like I said, I hate PBMs and I was in Washington, D.C. 5 times last year. So if there's anybody that hates PBMs and does advocacy, it's me. But I'm
Right.
always like, PBMs have forced us to do the things we should have been doing for years and getting paid for it. And I think that's kind of the good thing is because at one point, this PBM stuff is going to get fixed to a point. We're never going to get rich filling prescriptions, but we're at least going to get paid our fair share
Right.
so that we can pay our employees, pay to keep the lights on, pay our accountant, all that good kind of stuff. But I'm also going to go back and say that the good part is if we make a decent living doing that, and then we also get paid for all these things we should have been doing all these years, pharmacy is going to look like a really good profession in the future
Right.
for those that have stuck through it and made this work.
I agree 100% to that. And you mentioned advocacy. We say it on here all the time, Bonnie, with our guests is pharmacists have to be patient care, growing their business, but they also, one of the hats they wear is advocacy. And
Gotta be.
like you mentioned, I mean, you've been heavily involved in that.
Yeah, it's what I learned about 8-9 years ago. My son coming to me and said, "Dad, I'm going to go to pharmacy school," and I'm like, "Whoa, okay." So my thoughts were even back then. I saw if I don't get involved in advocacy, he's not going to have a job when he gets out of school.
Yeah.
Or it's going to look really different than it does now because I could see the writing on the wall. And that's what got me involved in advocacy. I started doing it then and just gotten involved, and it's just kind of taken on a life of its own now. But because we're a hybrid store, so I do compounding and we do traditional. And so I'm in DC, either going for PBM reform, whether it be on the federal level in DC or in Austin, Texas for state level stuff, or I'm also in DC in terms of compounding, protecting our right to be able to make customized, personalized medications for patients. And so it's those two things. And the thing is, if you're not there, somebody is there to take those rights away from you. And so we know the PBMs are there, and I know many other groups are there to take away compounding. So it's like, I've really enjoyed it. And I think more importantly, what it's done is it's helped me to become really good friends with a lot of legislators. And what you realize are people just like us. And the most important thing is we do the one thing and that's we take care of their constituents. And when they get that message that we have that power, you become a lot more powerful with them because they realize you have the ability to influence electors and those that vote for them. And I feel like a lot of them, when they understand what we're going through, really want to help us. So,
Man,
That's awesome.
You're hitting it right on the head here, Steve. You're coming out fire.
Steve, this past year?
Oh yeah, I was at NCPA fly-in. Our American Pharmacies Co-op, we do another fly-in. I was at
Nice.
PCCA's ACT conference just a couple weeks ago. So I've already been 3 times this year and probably go again. But it's okay. I've got where I'm not the biggest fan of Washington D.C. in terms of going, but I go enough now that I'm comfortable and I enjoy going. And I tell you what I really enjoy. I really enjoy going with somebody who's never been before. Because what that does is it opens their eyes up to, one, we do have the ability to make change, but also, two, a lot of them are like so scared and worried, like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? But once you get them there and they hear the plight that we're taking care of patients, it really makes it fun. One of the things we did last year was, and through PCCA, and I applaud them, they gave scholarships, but they help us take patients with us to these trips. And you want to do something powerful. It's one thing for me to go in there and talk about how I affect, but bring one of my patients that we compounded something for. And we had one of my patients whose daughter, she had a bone marrow transplant, and we had to do all these customized medications to make sure she didn't reject her bone marrow. And what was awesome is that she came to Washington with pictures of her daughter. And I will tell you, all I had to do was just kind of tell what we do and then let her go. And the legislators were like, wow, I mean, we made a couple of them cry. We created, it was just the connections that we created with that. And that's really what it comes down to, is taking care of patients. And if we can get that message home, how we would ever lose our ability to compound or how PBMs won't go away, I don't see how it could not happen over time some way.
Well, they don't know, the legislators, they don't know what you do. They don't know what impact you have. So, yeah, I mean, the advocacies, you just got to do it. You got to do it.
No, that's for sure. And even like getting them in the store, it's been kind of fun to bring in some of the Congress people in, make them gown up, put their booties on, and put all the gowning and garbing to go in our clean rooms to kind of see the quality that goes in there. And then the other thing I just love is to get a legislator in and run them all the reports of all your third parties and just show them, how 1/3 of your claims you're underwater, and making them realize, look, I'm not saying I'm not money to do business. I'm talking about like it's underwater, like to buy the drug. And so it's like, who has an industry that can keep their doors open like that, and when they start seeing stuff like that. Yeah.
I went for the first time. A group from Alabama invited me to go with them, so I went for the fly-in in April for the first time, and that is what I was just saying yesterday on another podcast. We were talking, is to me that made the biggest difference. I mean, people can say they agree, and all this stuff is bipartisan anyway. But like someone actually took out reports and showed the person, and you could see it click then. I mean, they've heard it over and over and every year. But when they saw that report and could see that they were, these pharmacies were actually losing money on some of these scripts they were filling, it was like a light bulb went off. Like they needed to see that on paper. So it was impressive. It was an impressive group to go around with. The whole program was great.
And advocacy is a lot better now. We went 5 years ago. Nobody knew what a PBM is. It's so much better now, because it was really, I just like beating your head. Like Scotty, you do this for a living. You get it. This PBM stuff and the record keeping and the tracking is so convoluted and messed up. And that's for an accountant that you do numbers all day wrong, right? Me as a pharmacist, it's hard for pharmacists to keep track. But imagine a legislator who has 1,000 different people a day coming in with 1,000 different industries and trying to explain this in a 5-minute conversation. It is impossible. And so for us to finally break through and give them enough education, it's like each year we kept adding a brick to that PBM story. They finally get it now. Like that part is the part to me is like, we're finally going to make some headway, but it took that long to get that message through and help them understand really what it means.
And it's definitely trending in the right direction. When you got people, the general public kind of knows or is aware of a PBM, it's trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, if you didn't work in this, you would have no idea. My husband hears me talk about it all the time, and I swear he's always like, what is that again? What is a PBM? And I have to keep trying to explain it to him. So if you do not do this day in and day out in some level, the average person's not going to have a clue what's going on.
So they got that bill in Washington right now, Steve, which has some tax changes, which you get the customized version of our breakdown on that. But there's some NCPA changes in there as well as for the PBMs. I know it's not everything the NCPA wanted in there. But what's your thoughts on I think it's the Medicaid spread pricing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's really big. This part is going through, and knock on wood, I know more of this than I should know. It goes through reconciliation. So the only things they can put in these bills are the things that actually save the government money. And obviously Medicaid is a government funded program, but the idea of making it where there's no spread pricing, where at least there is a set, i.e. NADAC price plus a legitimate dispensing fee, I'm all for that. And my hope is, and this is what it's been, is at least if we can start this in Medicaid and do two things. One, show that it's feasible for us as pharmacists that we can make a living doing this, and that's fair. But more importantly, two, it saves taxpayers and the government money. Then it's easy for us then to take that model and go, hey, what about Medicare? And then when it saves Medicare money, it's really easy to go to commercial plans and payers, big employers, and saying, look, this system works. You need to demand this NADAC plus model. And that's what's really important. And I'm excited about that because at least it starts that one domino to fall. I think there's other stuff that'll come in later on in the fall, hopefully. But I think this one first piece of showing that this model does work and it does save money is so important. We know it works. It's been happening in the state level, but now if we can get it on the federal Medicaid program, I definitely think we can see some benefit there. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love the glass half full approach. I mean, it's all doom and gloom everywhere you go. I'm a glass half full kind of guy too. So
Some days.
Well, Scotty, I was at a conference this week and somebody brought up something, and you even kind of heard me say it a while ago. The day of pharmacists saying, the one thing I'll tell you is when my kids get older, I don't ever want them to be a pharmacist. Like, that's got to change. Like, think about the multi-generational pharmacies you guys deal with. And it really shouldn't be a profession where we want to tell our kids, you can do anything, you just can't become a pharmacist. That needs to change. I understand why we're saying that, but that's that point. That mindset has to change. And the other thing I laughed is too, I figure give it another year or two, and if this stuff keeps going the way it is, all the pharmacies that aren't willing to change, they're going to be extinct. Exactly. So what you're left with then is a generation and a group of pharmacies that are willing to change, that have survived, that have adapted. And then I think you're going to see pharmacy take off because right now you guys do deal with it. You got owners that get it and owners that don't get it. And trying to find, I hate to say it, we need to weed out the people that just want to put pills in bottles and go home at the end of the day because that just doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No, they're not. And the good thing is, give it a couple of years. A lot of them have already gone by the wayside. And don't get me wrong, like it's sad. Like I've got some pharmacy buddies of mine that inherited stores or brought on stores that have gone out of business. But I think the good thing is, and I make this analogy, it's the golden goose analogy, right? So up to now, we've had a golden goose that laid golden eggs, and we just went out to the barn and got them and paid the bills, and life was good. Our goose is laying eggs, but it just lays an egg. So you either have to fry it, or you have to scramble it, or you either have to poach it or do something, as long as you're willing to do a little. So it's like you want that prescription coming in the store to fill, but what else can you get out of that prescription in terms of other things? As far as that goes, long-term care at home or 340B, or, you have to do a little extra work, medical billing, but those are the type of things you still want to fill scripts, but you want to make sure you fill the right scripts and do the right things with them to maximize every fill.
Certainly. So that brings up a point, you can't just fill scripts. We've been saying that a long time, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
So I like compounding. The best pharmacies you'll see out there, they have compounding. So Steve, you do quite a bit of compounding. How does a pharmacy owner out there, I guess, give me a quick little, I'm a pharmacy, I'm filling scripts, I want to do something different. Can I get into compounding? How hard is it? I don't know. Any tips for anybody out there just looking to maybe get started in compounding?
You must have saw my NCPA presentation I'm about to give because it's a challenge. The thing with it is that I'll say now versus back then, you no longer can dabble in compounding. But I'm also going to say there's an investment or there's a price you have to pay up front, but the return on the back end is so great, it's worth that investment if you want to do it. And I will say, as a pharmacist, there's two things that came from compounding for me. One, it's a different level of engagement with the patient in terms of filling a prescription. You get to know them better because you're doing something that's customized, personalized for that patient. And you tend to touch patient at a more vulnerable time than they are just filling their blood pressure medicine. So that's one thing. The other thing that I really enjoy is I have never in my life had so many doctors, nurse practitioners, and PAs phone numbers where they call and rely on me for advice than me having to coax them and to do whatever else. Like, it's so neat to have a knowledge base with compounding. And unfortunately, or fortunately with compounding, you have to become a lifelong learner because you get presented with things. But the thing is because of the USP standards and some of the regulation and things, you can't just half do it anymore. I mean, you're going to have to spend the time, build a quality lab, have all the, the right equipment from powder containment hoods and ointment mills and those type things. But to me, that's a cash business. It's a profitable business. It's a game-changing business in terms of you impact patients in a certain way. It offers services and things that set you apart from your competitor down the street. And especially if you do it right, like that's the part, like I highly recommend. There's some great companies that have compounding um, supplies and different things like that that can get you going down the right direction. There's compounders like myself. That's one of the neat things about that compounding industry. We're a very tight-knit group. I am always more than glad. People can find me after this podcast. If you want to do compounding, you look me up. I will help you get down the right track, put you in touch with the right people so that you can start offering compounding in your community. Because I mean, it's that powerful, but it does take a little bit of effort to get in the game nowadays. You just can't throw up something in a back room and hope it works, the way the regulations are nowadays.
Yeah, it is a tight community. We went to the Alliance for Pharmacy Compounding Conference back in March 15th, tax due date. We were there, but yeah, it was impressive. I mean, just a great group of pharmacists there. I mean, sharp folks for sure.
Yeah, my compound buddies are some of my best, and I think the thing that I've enjoyed the most with them is I guess that they already have that think outside the box mentality, because that's really what compounding is. And it never was easy, and so I think that's why a lot of my compound buddies who have hybrids have been super successful, because that's just kind of the mentality that they have. As far as that goes. And that's something, I mean, I really enjoy. I enjoy learning too. Like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably stay in school the rest of my life if I could. So I'm always going to conferences and trying to learn. And that's one thing that I think compounding kind of requires, that you stay up to date on things and think outside the box and learn things.
And to be successful in pharmacy in general, I think you do, especially the way things are right now. You have to kind of know the next best thing to keep you on top of things to stay afloat. So
you nailed it. I mean, that's exactly it. Yep. It's like you said, if you're sitting still.
Trade shows and any of your CE courses and things like that, and networking with other pharmacists that are movers and shakers out there is just huge.
Well, and Bonnie, I think you're right. I think that's what gets pharmacy in a lot of trouble nowadays. And I'm an exception. Not gonna lie, I've got a great staff. It's allowed me to leave. I'm innovative, so I have the finances to go do some different things. And trust me, Scotty knows my books. I'm not loaded, but I have enough ability to go visit conferences and go do some things, and I've got enough staff that lets me get out. But I think about, there's so many people at these conferences. That's the best part about going to a conference is that peer sharing. What are you trying? What works? What doesn't work? I went to Pioneer for the first time this year. We recently switched to Pioneer, and that was a great show. I'd never been, and just the idea share. But I think about, for every one pharmacy that's at one of those shows, you've got 10, 15, 20, or 50 that are back that are still stuck in their own little bubble. They don't know what's going on in the real world. They're not sharing ideas. And the problem with it is when we pharmacists think we know it all, but I can tell you right now, we don't. And unless you find out what other people are doing, like 99% of my success is the ideas I came up with. They're ideas I got when I went out and have adapted to my pharmacy. But because unfortunately, we don't have the money to try things and fail anymore. I mean, we've got to, if we're going to implement something and spend time and money, we better be successful. But so many pharmacies don't get out of their bubble, and they don't interact with other pharmacists to realize there's other things to do out there that you can do, but they're stuck in their stores. And I realize there are one-offs, because I'm sure there's people in the rural pharmacy where it's a one pharmacist operation. Like, you don't understand, I can't leave. But I'm going to tell you, you don't understand, you can't afford not to leave. You can't afford not to go to things and get out and learn, because if it wouldn't be for that, I mean, we wouldn't do 3/4 of the stuff that we do at my pharmacy nowadays.
Yes, it's a great point.
Sure is. Steve, you got your own podcast, and I'm going to let you plug that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running this podcast right now. I mean, you might as well just take over our podcast. You're doing a great job. Plug your podcast. What's your kind of motivation there? What are you trying to accomplish there? I mean, a pharmacy out there that's looking to branch into other things. What are you doing? Why are you doing that podcast? What's it doing for you?
Yeah, I mean, you meet a pharmacist and they'll tell you, I do what I do, especially in our climate. I do what I do to help patients. And obviously, when we own stores, we can help the patients in our store, the one that's in front of you, or you can help the community. But I've just learned over the years. I feel like I've learned a lot. I've been fortunate to get to go to conferences. I know wellness and health stuff. I mean, honestly, as a pharmacist, like if I didn't have to dispense a drug, I wouldn't. But that's not the world we live in. And just the wellness and the health side, it just really fascinated me. I've had a phenomenal pharmacist mentor that kind of got me off the ground down this path. And I've just seen the impact that it has, that if you do diet, lifestyle, supplements, do a lot of preventative stuff and prevent our bodies from breaking down, it just makes for a lot healthier life down the road, so we can enjoy life and take care of it. So I went ahead and decided to come up with it's called the Trusted Pharmacist podcast. And it really is to take all the things I've learned going to all the conferences and bring it home and put it in a very real world, keep it simple, explain it where the average Joe can understand what it's about, and get a pharmacist perspective. There's a lot of podcasts, with medical doctors and scientists and physicists and all this stuff, but there's just not a lot. CPAs too, yeah. But I mean, there's really not a lot of pharmacists out there, especially doing like the wellness side. And I thought, you know what? I know I don't want to jump on nobody's toes, but it's like there's really not somebody out here doing this. Why don't I do it? And knock on wood, I've got a great staff. They've afforded me the time. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm in my store like every day, 7 a.m. till 5, 6, 7 at night. And the other part for me is a personal growth is, and we all have to learn this, is burnout. And that's the one thing my mentor told me too, is you can't burn yourself out. So doing the podcast has forced me one day a week, stay home. I work from home, but it's my podcast studio's at my house. So it makes me stay home. I don't go to work. I can do my podcast there, but it makes me kind of break the monotony of going in and out of my store every day. Cause like I'm here every day. I love being at the store. But it's one of those things where being able to actually affect change, maybe on a little broader scale in terms of patient reach. But I'm also going to see too, the other part is that pharmacy needs a voice, and not that it's me, but like I've noticed when I've done some stuff on PBMs and advocacy, it gets a lot of tick through my social media. I haven't done a podcast yet on PBMs, but I will. Don't worry, it's coming. But it's one of those things where it gives us a larger platform to put it out and hear it from a pharmacist that's doing this stuff every day and understanding what goes on. And that's just really kind of where the podcast came from. I mean, obviously it generates interest in pharmacy, it generates interest in wellness. And if that's what happens out of it, then that's really what the purpose is.
You mentioned wellness here, Steve, and to me, that's what pharmacies are going towards, is that wellness center in their communities, not only just to get their prescription, but wellness, and you're doing that. So what are you doing with wellness? I know you're doing quite a bit of vitamins and nutraceuticals with 50% nice cash margins. You've got some diet classes, is that right? And maybe you're doing something else there?
Yeah, so we've been doing testing forever. So we've been doing salivary hormone testing. We've been doing blood micronutrient testing, where we look at vitamins and minerals within the cells themselves. We've been doing GI gut testing, different things like that. We've been doing those for a lot of years with good success.
That's like
we've been
functional medicine type.
Yeah, function. So we've been trying to do those. So we've been trying to create more programs now that are, my mentor who kind of got me down he was doing a weight loss and weight loss class for many years, kind of one-on-one individual. We decided to go a little broader. So what we ended up doing was we took the basis of this weight loss class, which there's 4 main pillars in it that we teach patients. And then we offer one-on-one consults. But the one thing that's happened is technology has made weight loss easier. And the things, if you can get patients real-time feedback about success, the bonus and the ability for people to achieve their goals tends to go up. So we brought in an in-body scale. So that's a body composition scale where part of our weight loss classes, we monitor them throughout this 10-week weight loss class, where we check them, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, and we look at how much fat did they lose? What's their percent body fat? How they change? How much muscle did they gain? How much water are they holding on? It's like kind of a marker of inflammation. The other thing we do is with this class is we include CGMs. I had a doctor that gave me a verbal script so that we were able to put CGMs on patients. Now that they're over the counter, it's a little easier. But we have people where CGMs, we monitor them at the store because we do weekly check-ins. We can see, were they eating what they should, or were their blood sugar spiking, doing the wrong thing? It's real-time feedback. We check hemoglobin A1Cs at the beginning. We check a hemoglobin A1C at the end. So we're able to give those patients some real-time feedback. We've created like WhatsApp groups where people can share. People drop like, hey, I want to eat this kind of food. Can I eat that? Our class is super simple. And I mean, we charge good money for the class. I mean, at first I thought, nobody's going to spend this kind of money. But you know what? When you have success and the word gets out, people start to do that. So we did that class. The other thing we've done, we do in-store every couple of months. We'll do like an education, something on like sleep, or we'll do something on insulin resistance and things where it's education. But we've actually branched out. We'll do some of those and record them and turn them into webinars, or we can put them on so anybody can watch them.
Yeah.
We're about to do some other things in terms of communities and different stuff, up our testing game and consult game, just because like you said, it's how many different things can you do to put, I was looking the other day on like, this will tie into what your podcast is. We used to be about 98.5% prescription was our revenue generation for the pharmacy. And that's compounds and non-compounds. If they got compounds, it'd be different. But I got to look at last month's statement. We're down to 90% of our income monthly now is from prescriptions. And now we're up to 10% of our growth, and is 10% of our income is things like supplements and consults and medical billing and all these other things that has really nothing to do with putting pills in bottles, which to me, that's a real accomplishment for the dollar value you think that is. That's pretty exciting, which tells me we're trending in the right direction.
For sure. Absolutely. I love it. I think that wellness thing is really where it's all going, and you guys are really staying on top of that.
What's happened now is we finish our 10-week class, and now people are like, okay, what can you put us in to hold us accountable for the next 3 months?
They're ready.
Now it's like we have to go with the second program that we're going to have to charge for, and it's like, well, all right, if that's how it's going to be, then so be it that way. So you're exactly right. I'm looking forward to forming a community and creating like a subscription model, which we're going to do that, which involves some different things. I'm kind of looking at that right now, that generates a good monthly income, but we're providing value to patients to help change their lives, to keep them well. And you're right. Like, I'm on the Good Neighbor Pharmacy Advisory, and every year when they win the JD Power Award for Best Independent Pharmacy Group, we get the results on the background, which is nice. And they bring them in, they talk. And I will tell you, we're going on 3 years in a row now. If you look at the number one trending thing that people are looking for on the healthcare space, and it's wellness. So it's like, pharmacies that's the place to be. It's just how happens we were there already, but you're exactly right. And I think the younger generation, because of like all the social media and stuff, like they're out highly seeking that. So I think, we're at a good place right now. At the same time, we've been kind of forced to be at that place. So I think it can end up being a win-win for pharmacy, and just the accessibility. I mean, you don't have to have an appointment to walk in and talk to any of my pharmacists out here that are trained in this stuff. So, I mean, that's the really kind of cool part about it. And then what gets fun is that they walk in on an OTC consult. We spend 15 minutes out there. Now I'm trying to train the staff. Hey, you need to ask them, did you find this successful? And they'll be like, yeah. Did you learn a lot? Yeah. Would you mind if I got your medical card and we billed for the time that we spent with you right now, just to see, pharmacies are now recognized as healthcare providers. There's value in our time, and we hope you found this valuable. We would like to bill your medical insurance, and just to see if your insurance would pay, if that's okay. And we've been starting to do some of that. So it's like, these are all things we've been giving away, doing for free, that have value. So it's like, why not try some of this stuff?
And touching on that wellness piece, the medical billing that's a whole nother conversation, which is starting to gain traction as more states allow that. The hard part there, I think, is the workflow piece, but that'll come. But going back to the wellness piece, the patients are already getting their wellness from somebody. Their vitamins, their whatever, they're getting it from somebody. They might as well get it from you, the wellness center in their community that is professional.
But that's exactly, that's part of the reason I started the podcast is to let people educate themselves. I think I saw the other day, like 25% of all vitamins sold on Amazon that are like the quote unquote the name brand of like the good quality brand, they're counterfeits and they're garbage. And you're exactly right. It's our job. I mean, if there's anybody you could trust to sell quality supplements, it's a pharmacist, because I mean, that's what we went to school to do. And you're right. There's these, a lot of us are. And that was the other thing is too, initially a long time ago, I thought, well, people aren't going to spend a lot of extra money for vitamins, but you know what? People want to buy something that works. They don't want to buy the cheapest brand that doesn't work. And the point is if you vet the vitamin vendors that you have in your store and you can sell those and people trust you, and even more importantly, they buy them and they work because they are pharmaceutical grade or professional grade, it's just a win-win. And that's the part, I wish I would have known a long time ago. I've been selling vitamins for years. I wish I would have known more about private labeling stuff that I didn't do, because that's what happens is you spend 15 minutes going over XYZ product. They buy it from you this time. Then next time they go on Amazon and buy it, which who's to say next time they buy it on Amazon, it's even really a quality product. But the thing is, private labeling makes them keep coming back to you. And like, that's something like I wish I would have figured that out a long time ago as far as that goes. Yeah.
They're investing in their health. I mean, that's what it is. So, well, Steve, we're on 30 minutes. I don't want to hold you up any longer. I do want to tease. I want to get you back on the medical billing because I know you're working on that, and I want to see how that all goes. But Well, we certainly appreciate you getting on today. It's an awesome conversation. So
No,
appreciate
that's good. I mean, I hope I gave you what you wanted as far as that goes. I really enjoyed. I really enjoy out being a voice for where pharmacy can go. I mean, I really mean that. Like, it's like I love my profession. I wouldn't work as hard and do what I do if I didn't love it. And I think that's the part is I just think as pharmacy will start thinking outside the box some and taking advantage of all the opportunity in our acts and our relationships with patients in a good way. Pharmacy has a bright future. Like you said, we just got to weather the storm right here and make it all happen. So I'm super excited and great for the opportunity to share as always.
You
Awesome.
dropped the mic with that first statement about PBMs.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Positive statement about
came out
PBMs.
fire.
That was impressive.
You know, you may get a lot of nasty comments on your
No, I
podcast because
mean-
I made a comment, but but honestly, I brought that up at a talk this past week when I was on stage at American Pharmacy. It was like, you have to realize it's PBMs have forced us to finally do what we've been talking about we should be doing for
Yes.
years. So it's like, let's do this. So it's like, I mean, and main thing is if change happens, we're golden. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
awesome.
That's the bottom line. Well,
Thank
thank you,
you,
Steve.
Steve.
Appreciate you hopping on.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes.